So, Glynn, what do you think the prospects are that North Korea is going to come back to the negotiating table?
Well, I think they will. The problem is whether anything comes out the other end. It's fairly clear now that the North Koreans are willing to come back to the six-party talks, providing the Americans are prepared to discuss or set up a working group at least to lift the financial sanctions that were imposed unilaterally after the last settlement at the six-party talks. The difficulty is that there's still an enormous gap between the two sides. North Korea wants what was promised in 1994, a nuclear power station, proliferation resistant, not capable of producing nuclear weapons, whereas the Americans seem to have gone back on that commitment that was made back nearly 15 years ago.
I mean, do the North Koreans come to the negotiating table in a much stronger position now because they've actually tested something?
I'm not sure, because I mean they're going to have to give it up. The Americans always claimed that they did have, or have for a considerable time, that they had nuclear weapons. We now know for certain that they do have, even though the test was only partially successful. But nevertheless, I don't think anyone's going to argue that means that they couldn't have a successful test sometime in the future, even though they have imposed a moratorium at the moment against any future testing under pressure from the Chinese.
So, Glynn, tell us a little bit about this particular cemetery here.
Well, this is a cemetery set overlooking the capital, Pyongyang, where they're in memoriam to 144, I think it is, revolutionary fighters who were engaged in the anti-Japanese struggle, because of course Korea went straight from feudalism to colonialism, and then in 1945 to communism. So there's never been any democratic tradition in this country.
Quite a view there.
Yes.
Pyramid.
And the Seddon River.